we are at Speeton, and we've come to look at the wreck of the good ship the Diamond. She was a trawler which was wrecked here in 1912. She'd been up to the fishing grounds north of Aberdeen and was heading back to her home port of Hull. As she got down through Filey Bay, there was an error in the navigation. The fog had come down. It was a terrible night in terms of the weather. There was virtually zero visibility, and because of that error, the Diamond ran aground here at Speeton. It was a dangerous position for the crew. Luckily, as they put out the distress call, presumably in 1912 would have been a hooter to mark distress, then she was heard at Bempton. Rescue came down. When they arrived, they could see the crew were climbing into the lifeboats. However, they realised that in this visibility there was a good chance the lifeboats would be wrecked and injury and possible death would take place with the crew. Thankfully, they managed to warn them and got the whole crew safely ashore. Nobody was injured within that. Got them there. The Seamen's Mission made a good job of feeding them and keeping them warm. By the time Filey attended the scene, they were finding an empty vessel in the Diamond. The crew had been taken, by the way, to North Landing and Flamborough Head. Not inconsiderable distance away. I'm not wholly certain why it wouldn't have been easier to just bring them up at Bempton. It's possible they were brought up here into the area and then taken by road to North Landing. That would seem the most likely scenario, although it's not clear which was the case. And the ship itself actually wasn't badly damaged. It was thought that following the rescue and the weather getting better, the ship could be rescued, but actually it was found it was impossible, and the Diamond was broken up on site. Now, if you come down here now, you will find a large lump of metal of strange design sticking out of the sea at low tide, and that is the boiler and the rear of the Diamond. 1912 she went down. It's over 100 years and still her boiler exists here on Speeton Sands. Let's go take a close look at it and we'll talk more when we get there. Right, we're coming up to the boiler now. As I say, you can only really find it at low tide, and this is the fascinating thing, isn't it? When I say she went down in 1912, before the First War, which makes it 109 years since she went down. This is Edwardian iron. It's submerged in salt water for most of its time, and the rest of the time it's battered by the waves coming into Filey Bay. And here it is, largely intact. How? Just really, really good metalwork. Yeah, obviously there's corrosion on it, obviously it's brown with rust, but the very fact it's not gone completely into rust is quite unbelievable. You can hear the waves lapping along behind us. You can hear that those waves are going to bump into on regular occasions. Now, just before we go, we can see the rear section of the Diamond. That too has existed. You can see it looks rather like a gigantic spine protruding from the water. But that too has not completely turned to nothing. try and avoid getting wet feet as the varying degrees of waste come in. There we are, there's a large part of the diamond's rear. And looking at it, you think, yeah, just exactly how was it not refloatable given its lasted this time? But here we are coming up now to the boiler, and you can see it's a large boiler. You know, it's not the sort of thing you'd see maybe on a railway tank engine or something. This is a mighty great piece of boilerage. Various bits of sea life adhering to it, large holes of rust, maybe stemming from when it was damaged. But there it is, and it's magnificent, and a magnificent example of engineering that has lasted. Shows the permanence. One day the sea will reclaim it completely, and there we see the other part of the boiler, absolutely covered in mussels, seaweed dangling from it. There we go. Just come around the other side here, and there's the front of the boiler. If you want to see this boiler for yourself, check the tide times in Filey Bay. As I say, it's only really visible at low tide, which is what I've timed it for. It's about 9:15 in the morning, which is low tide today. And don't forget, landlubbers, that time changes all the time. It's not always, you know, you can't go 9:15, I'll make sure I get there for no, it could be a different time next time. Just going up the beach now to look at this. I don't know how you describe it. It's like an iron ring, but it's got bits sticking out of the other side, and I suspect again this is another part of the diamond. I may be wrong, because the other thing about this coast is, and if you look along the beach you can see large piles of large stones and so forth. You think, oh, that's interesting how the tide has pushed them all into one area. For the most part, a lot of this stuff was placed here for military purposes. During World War II, of course, the East Coast being directly opposite the European mainland, it was considered to be a threat from invasion. And you can see, actually, I don't think I can see from where I am, but scattered along the cliff tops around here and along are a number of concrete pillboxes. Some of them have actually been subject to the erosion causing them to tumble down onto the beach where they lie in pieces, but being concrete haven't totally disappeared. But many of them still stand on top, some of them now listed. So these large stones and so forth on the beach, many of them were there to prevent vehicles leaving landing craft and heading upwards. At this point, actually, the cliffs probably would be quite impregnable. Speeton, where the boiler is really just about on the cusp of where the thick red clay that runs around Filey and that area gives way to the chalk cliffs of Bempton and beyond down to Bridlington. The largest chalk cliffs, bigger even, but much more famous, White Cliffs of Dover. And if you have any interest in ornithology, RSPB at Bempton is equally a rather wonderful place to visit if you like puffins, gannets, you name it, they've got the seabirds there. It's fantastic. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different transporter where we're looking at things of the water. I know we're often quite railway orientated, but yeah, at least I've got a lovely walk on the beach.